So hello everyone, thank you for giving me the chance to present here and round up the Business Forum presentations. My name is Andreas Wade, working with First Solar, and I've been building the consortium for an application for the PEFCR pilot phase to assess the photovoltaic electricity generation. And I'm happy to present you a couple of thoughts around this and the motivation for the consortium. Basically we're talking about electrons, which are, motivated by photons to, do work for us, right? And in fact, I think, the electricity itself, as many of you will agree, plays a crucial role in all PEFs, in all products which are manufactured. So I think, this is, for us, will be a very interesting experience as a sector. And we certainly hope that we didn't open Pandora's box with it, but rather, show a way to level the playing field for electricity generation technologies and the comparison of these. So leading by example, I would say the consortium, you can see the members at the bottom here, and I'll, explain a bit more, was basically, driven by a common motivation. And that's also the motivation which kind of, brings me out of bed every morning, right? That, they believe that a joint development and international endorsement of a standardized methodology for the environmental assessment of, in our case, photovoltaic technologies will be an excellent opportunity to, reevaluate and reconfirm the excellent environmental and socioeconomic profile in the long run. And I'll come to that in a minute when talking about the vision. And then obviously get this endorsed by a broad stakeholder group internationally. And the international aspect actually was very important from the beginning by building the consortium. So as you can see, the lead was taken by the International Energy Agency's Photovoltaic Power Systems Program, the Task 12. That is actually an industry group, not an industry group, but a stakeholder group composed of industry, international science, and the IEA, as well as governmental and intergovernmental organizations who started almost a decade ago to develop LCA guidelines for the assessment of photovoltaic electricity and the different photovoltaic technologies. I mean, there are a couple of different technologies in that family, and one you can see outside. If you look to the right, there is a nice rooftop installation which you can see, which is representing one of these technologies. Obviously, they built the framework, and I'll come to that in a minute. And then we kind of, looked into, a truly global industry at the moment. So it was very important to, get the Chinese manufacturers who are dominating by far the supply of the modules nowadays on board. So we got Jingli Solar, we've got Trina Solar, who are, the tier 1 Chinese manufacturers. As well as, the American manufacturer First Solar, the company I'm working for, but also the French energy group Total, who's involved in that, and they also have a subsidiary, SunPower, doing high-efficiency photovoltaics, and then obviously the industry associations, EPIA, PV-Thin, as well as a small and medium enterprise from Germany, and let's say the scientific backing through the Energy Research Center of the Netherlands, and TREES from Switzerland. Another important factor, obviously, and Michaela was emphasizing this, was to get involvement from an NGO. So we kind of approached WWF to ask them whether they would be willing to work as a sounding board for the technical secretariat, because it was very important to get feedback on the various decisions which are being taken in the course of this project from this. So. Just very quickly on the background. So as I mentioned, the IEA PVPS Task 12 developed LCA guidelines a decade ago, have been updating these. These are publicly available and are common standard in the industry for the assessment of PV electricity, and will form the basis for the PEFCR, together with other standards like the one in France I mentioned this morning, and others which are available around the globe. And I think it's very, very important, especially for a global industry such as the PV industry, to avoid national, regional patchworks of environmental assessment guidelines and standards and subsequent regulations. So I think for the industry, which is highly commoditized by now, it is very important to have an international endorsed methodology, and that was actually an excellent opportunity here to apply for this project. We're very glad that we got selected. Just to close off, and maybe that's a picture which all of you can agree on. I mean, that is, the motivation which is driving us, and that's the vision also of the consortium, right? If you look at, what we want to achieve a level playing field when we compete on environmental grounds, right? Today, this is by far not the case in the electricity sector. And by leading by example with the photovoltaic industry, saying, okay, we can develop PEFCRs for solar photovoltaic electricity generation, I think, a lot of people will start thinking about, okay, why can't we do that for other electricity sources as well, and come to a reasonably and well understood definition of what actually green electricity is. So with that, I want to close, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Andreas.